I think most people understand that there are flaws in always going with the flow. However, what isn't so clear is why and specifically how does one go against the current trends. Oftentimes, when going against the grain, one must do something that is going to be seen by others as uncomfortable or offensive. That by the simple act of going with your gut and not following others, you might create conflict with individuals you intended not to get into conflict with. So how should one approach this dilemma?
Let me ask you this thing, all right? So let's make it conversation. Why do you think people go with the flow? And you can use an example, or you can just describe it, in your own words. But why do you think? Can you provide me some information? Why do you think that people they choose to go with the flow rather than actually go against the flow, even though they know that the particular flow thing is wrong direction?
Well, it kind of actually is related to the question itself because, and I'll actually give an example of this. It is because they don't want to upset or cause a disruption in that flow. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, when I was in high school, and I don't want to make this necessarily political, but I'm not necessarily liberal-minded. And in high school, I was basically surrounded by people that were. And they would oftentimes talk about these liberal beliefs that they had. And I almost kind of tried to, I wouldn't say hide the fact that I was more independent or at least kind of like a moderate conservative. That I tried to kind of almost hide it because I was worried that by just even saying like what my actual opinions were, that some of my classmates, some of my friends, that might turn on me and it might cause a lot of disruptions and conflict in the future that I was not intending to. And so I can imagine that's basically the same for a lot of other individuals where they don't want to cause that conflict or debate or argument with somebody that they might genuinely be close friends with over something that's, some very, very heated topic. So it is about uncomfortability.
That is pretty good. That is pretty good description. I would describe it the way as pretty much as it is, right? It's as a river, big river, and the flow is a river, and you are the swimmer on it. And now you got one of the two choices. You're going to go with that flow, and even though you know that the river going to ends up at a huge waterfall and you're going to die, some people, they choose to stay with the flow. Or you got the opposite, and some people, they just go against the flow. They're going to swim against it. And let's say, for the sake of the conversation, that you cannot swim, either left or right away, and to the shore and crawl on the shore and save yourself, because that option is not there. Let's say there's a cliffs on both sides, right?
Right.
Well, go with the flow. It's usually the easiest way, even though, again, when we know there is a waterfall. God Almighty, I'm going to fall there, it's a huge 1,000 feet, drop, and I'm going to be dead. Most of us are like, well, okay, I can go against the flow maybe for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I can swim that good, but then I'm gonna run out of the steam. I'm gonna run out of my strength. How can I keep swimming against the flow for the rest of my life? And for that, you need a determination, like a huge amount of determination. Now, is that even possible to get that determination? I think so we can. We used to have it. Like if you look at back 150 years ago, the settlers, when they were moving to the west, with all their stuff on the wagons, their families, all their
manifest destiny, right? Going out west,
manifest destiny, and they had a determination. They knew that it's the right thing. Now, did they know that they're going to survive? Did everybody went with them? No. There was a lot of people who were like, crazy, what are you doing? I mean, like, God Almighty, you guys are going to die. All of you. Not just to you, but also your wife, your kids, and you can lose all your possessions, everything what you were saving for, because it was quite expensive to go to the West. It was not the cheapest people they think to purchase the wagon and all the supplies. It was not cheap. They had to actually
save.
Yeah, they had to save some money, or they sold, whatever they had to actually be able to purchase all those particular needs for that trip. But they had a determination, right? Once they set out, I don't know about, but I'm sure there were maybe some, but majority of them, 99%, they continued until they reached their destination or they died. They didn't turn around halfway through. Like, okay, that's about as far as I can go. That's as far as my determination can get me, right? Now I'm turning back and I'm going to go with the flow. I'm going to go back, to the east because that's as far as I could swim. That's one of the, so what makes them different, those people, what make them different? Well, I think it's the determination. And with that, the mental toughness, right? They had a mental toughness and believe that this is the right thing. We don't have it anymore. And I think the part of it is what was different at that time, 150 years ago, and today. Well, the one main thing what was different was that safety net which we have today. You had all these different government welfare, kind of helping hands, right?
Right.
To protect you from everything. You cannot work. Well, we're gonna give you unemployment. Oh, you are unable to work at all. Well, you're gonna go on welfare. You cannot pay for the food. We're gonna give you food stamps. You cannot pay for your apartment and for your utilities and so on. Oh, we're gonna give you free, government paid, apartment and so on. Like all these different, safety nets. And people, we all of us, because I don't want to, separate myself from them. We all of us get very, very weak. We're lacking that determination, which people used to have. Because, again, 150 years ago, those people, they didn't have that safety net. There was none. But they were much, much tougher inside them, mentally, to actually do that work, to do that trip, even risking their own lives. And now we can think like, all right, so they were tougher. How would it happen? Like, how come we are not as tough as we used to? Did it happen just on a purpose? Somebody's trying to make us weak, or did we make ourselves weak because we fall into that safety net? We choose to fall in that safety net, choose to use that safety net all the time. Well, that is, questions, for many years, because I don't know, because I've seen it, not just in the United States, I've seen it specifically when I was in Eastern Europe, where people were weakened on the purpose, just like that, by providing all these benefits, that safety net for them, right, by the communists, which was it was just a safety net. It was not provide them with really good things, right, the comfort and the things they really wanted. No, it's just a safety net. But in order to have that safety net, you will go with the flow. That was what communists wanted. You go with the flow. You don't have to be good or even great at something. Just go with the flow. Don't stick out. Don't be different than everybody else. Be the same gray man as everybody else. Do that bare minimum we are telling you to do. And we're going to provide that safety net. You're never going to hit the ground. But if you're going to go with the flow, if you're going to go against the flow, if you're going to go against the flow, then you're eventually going to hit the heart. And slowly, year by year, from one generation to another, people lost that mental toughness. It became, just like a sheep, just following. Right. That's kind of one of the things which we are missing today, again, coming back, to the United States. That's what we don't have, anymore, is that mental toughness. Mental toughness, that faith in our, in us, in God, that, hey, I can really do it. I can. With the God, I can do it. Because this is the right thing to do. The consequences don't matter. I'm going somewhere. I'm swinging somewhere, or I'm climbing that hill, right? I'm climbing that cliff. And I'm not thinking that I'm going to fall. I'm not going to be thinking that I'm going to slip and I'm going to crash down. I'm not going to be thinking that I'm going to get tired swimming against the flow and I'm going to, drown. That is not a point. That is the goal. That is the right thing. And that is my determination to go for it.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is fortitude really the only ingredient? Because here's the thing. Say another political thing, right? 3 years back, we had the COVID vaccinations, right? And there were a lot of people out there that didn't want to take it, right? Either religious beliefs or personal beliefs, or they just didn't have a need to take it, right? But most of society was, I'd almost kind of say, excuse my language, hell-bent. Everybody has to take it, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of goes back to the question at hand, which is when you have these things that are really uncomfortable, like maybe you might lose your job by saying no. So I understand the fortitude, the determination, as you said, But is there some other ingredient here that's missing that is needed to actually go against the flow, especially when it's something like this, where it's
determination is kind of the engine which will carry the whole thing. But we could have provided engine with the fuel.
Right.
What is that fuel? The fuel is maybe the faith in God. The fuel is the wisdom to know what is right and what is wrong. The fuel is the experience, actually, how to do certain things in life, how to cope with certain things in life which are hard. The fuel could be also the support of your immediate family, which is, the parents, spouses, kids, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
The determination is that the engine which will, carry you, but you got to fuel that engine somehow, right? It's not going to run on empty. We have that fuel anymore. I mean, families are broken, fortunately, faith in God. Yeah, I would say majority of the people, they say, I believe in God. But is that really faith? Because the true faith is like,
it's a name only.
Are you going to put your life on it? Are you going to sacrifice your life? Like, if you're going to have a choice, somebody's going to put a gun to your head. You're atheist? Are you believer in God? Because if you are believing in God, I'm going to shoot you. I'm going to put your life, online for God. Probably not. The wisdom. Is there any wisdom anymore? Like, wisdom is something you don't learn in the schools. Wisdom is either acquired from one generation to another, or you learn it's kind of like the street wisdom, right? You learn it on your own. But again, you got that safety net. Most people, they don't go through that, that street wisdom kind of way. And generational wisdom has been gone because, and again, once you break the families, you break that both parents, father and the mother and the kids, you break that thing, that generational wisdom disappears with it. So, I mean, it's kind of gone as a lot of these things. Now, can it be reacquired? By all means, it can, absolutely, but it's going to be a uphill battle. It's going to be hard. What I'm trying to say is that we, in order to actually go against the grain and to do the right thing, one has to have determination to do it and has to know actually how to get there and has to have some support around as well and has to understand that this is the right thing because there are definite truths in this world which cannot be changed, cannot be bent.
Well, kind of going on to the next question, how does one deal with sticking out when they go against the flow? So when somebody is going against the flow, they can kind of almost, in a way, isolate themselves. They might appear sometimes as a black sheep amongst the rest of the herd. So how does one really go about themselves when they kind of make that appearance?
I would start, let's say, young people just like you in early 20s. I would suggest, start with the small things. Start with the baby steps, right? Don't overexert yourself. Don't try to change completely your life because that's impossible. You're going to fail in that and that's just going to be so disheartening, then you're probably going to quit and you will go with the flow rather than. So just small steps, small changes in life, right? Small things. And start with the immediate family. Start with the people who you know, who you trust, which is the family members, immediate friends, grandparents, and so on. And start with them. Be honest with them. Doesn't the things as they are. That's going to help you with the multiple different things. It will help you first, and most importantly, with that determination. You will actually build up the courage, right? Build up the mental toughness to actually do right things. To say the things as they are, as you really truly believe as they are. Secondary to that, you will also learn that if you are wrong, you're going to get some feedback on it. You're not going to be like, hey, I don't want to talk to you anymore, but you're going to get some actually good feedback on it from those people. Because those people, those immediate, family members, friends, and so on, they're not going to leave you because you got the opposing point of view. They're going to give you some ideas if you do actually, or if you think about something which is wrong. And thirdly, I would say you learn how to talk to the people. Because that's very hard. Many people are right about certain things, but they don't know how to transfer that knowledge, that point of view to the others. They don't have the proper tools to do that. And by many of us, we fail in that. I might not going to know that certain things is right to do, but if I'm not going to be able to explain it to the other people, why I'm doing actually the thing, then I'm going to look like a lunatic. I'm going to look completely crazy. And that is not what we want to do. So that would be my way. Start, first with the immediate family. And then once we learn how to communicate, gain some strength, toughness, and kind of zeroed actually the proper target, the proper way. We get some positive feedback and we learn actually what we think is wrong, because other things actually what we think are wrong, no matter how much we wish to be correct. Sometimes the things are actually wrong. So
right.
Once we fix that aim, then we can start focusing and talking to the other people as that, the co-workers, the employer or employees if we have the business, the people, who we meet on the streets and the store and so on, can kind of start spreading out with that belief which we hold inside. As I said many times, it could be also very liberating, because you will be surprised. I learned it from my experience. You'll be surprised how many people are actually thinking just like we do, but they don't have the courage to say it.
Right.
They hide it inside. But once you start talking to them, it breaks those barriers. And a lot of these people, you talk to, you're like, wow, you know what? You're actually right. I was thinking exactly the same thing. I was thinking exactly the same thing like you do, but I didn't have the courage to say it because I was afraid that, am I going to offend someone, and am I going to hurt, some others, and at the end, they're going to turn against me. But, thank you. So you're going to find a lot of people around you that who think exactly the same way. And that is very, very liberating. Because I think the worst thing, as you kind of mentioned at the beginning, you don't want to be isolated. You don't want to be by yourself. And that's why people, they go with the flow, because they think like, well, only if I'm going to stay in the flow, I'm going to be with that safety group around me. But actually, it's not the truth, right? I'm going to find some really good friends, really honest good friends who give me really their honest support, even though I go against the flow, because they think exactly the same way. And those friends are going to be actually honest. They're not going to be lying to me, pretending that they like me and disagree with me. They're actually going to be doing that because they do believe. And as they say, having the 1-2 good, honest friends is better than to having the 1,000 fake friends.
But it's always kind of difficult to take that first step, right?
It is.
It's easy. It's easy to kind of when the river has been redirected. It's easy to then follow the flow, but it's hard to actually take that first step. I like that you mentioned about how sometimes people will open up when you actually kind of reveal some certain truths. That was very, very much my experience when I was working as a landscaper. I met a couple of people that at first, like, I had these like not negative impressions of them, but I kind of had these like, oh, they're this and they're that. But eventually, I kind of opened up a little bit, and I said some things that I knew were probably going to be counter to what I was kind of perceiving of them, that easily could have probably been seen by those as offensive or not comfortable to talk about. But surprisingly, a lot of them actually liked that, and as a result, I was able to actually have much stronger friendships with these individuals, because it turns out there was a lot of things, despite the fact that a lot of them did actually have different backgrounds than I did and different beliefs. I was pretty much the only Catholic that was there. A lot of them actually did agree on the things that I was saying. And had I not taken that first step, I probably would have never known that. I probably would have been sheltered like a hermit.
People inside are pretty much the same, because we are created by the same God, Jesus Christ, and His Father. So the people, they know inside. So our thinking is not very much different. You can have, billionaire, and you can have, the regular, Joe Schmo, right, from the street. But the thinking is, at the end, the basic things, the important things are very much the same. There's not much difference between that. We want to have the freedom and love and support, and we want to, be able to do the things which are proper and base it on our own decisions rather than some other entity telling us what to do. That's still the same, right? That doesn't change. And moreover, God wants us to do right things. The reward is not just that in heaven. I know that the final reward is after the death. Based on our life, God will be rewarding us for what we've done or what we failed to do. But He also will help us here on the earth. We just got to have faith in Him, and even though we're going to go against the flow, It doesn't mean that, I'm going to spend the rest of my life in misery and in unhappiness and just going to be suffering for the rest of my life. That's not the truth. That is not correct. That's what the devil telling you to do. Don't do this. Don't try to do the right thing because you're going to be suffering. No, that's not correct. It's just a lie. Yes, there's going to be certain amount of suffering. Yes, there will be difficulties. And that's why we have that determination, that tough mental toughness we have to build up to overcome those things. But there also will come a lot of good things with it. A lot of good things. The peace in the heart, because we know that we are doing something right. You know, the support of the good people, honest people, because at the beginning we will know that, hey, you will feel inside like these people are actually standing by my side because they really believe what I do. Not because I have money or because I have a certain position in particular life or because I'm going with the flow, but no, because they stay with me because they believe the same thing as I do. There's going to be a lot of great rewards from it. It's not just the suffering. It's not supposed to be anyway. God doesn't want it. He wants us to actually accomplish the good things in this life. And God understands that there has to be some partial reward for those choices here on the earth, not just in heaven. Otherwise, we would never make it that strong. Yes, so as I would tell the people, young people like you are, start baby steps, start with the people around you and slowly kind of learn what is right and what is wrong, zero that shot group, focus actually on what is correct, build up mental toughness, learn about the people who loves you, who support you, and then bring it out and slowly build up that mental toughness and the courage to be honest about all these things. And that is going to be a reward. I guarantee you that it will be.
We will have to end the episode there. That'll be it for this week. In the next episode, we'll be talking about individuals who seek a fake identity or belonging, especially on the internet with social media. If you have any questions, feel free to send them to us as we may answer them in a future episode. We'd appreciate it if you could follow us on all social media. And until next week, thanks for listening. Take care and God bless.
Godspeed.